Hey, we're here at GCR Studios, and I'm Tom McNulty, and our guest today is Grace Stumberg, and we're going to be talking about a wonderful program called Music in Action. Grace, welcome.
Thank you for being here with us today, Tom.
It's great to have you here. I think you represent an example for a lot of young people out there who have an interest in music and a real passion for it, but perhaps struggle with, how do I get started? It starts as a dream, but how does my dream turn into something? And before we came on, we were talking about your own background and when you first knew you had a real passion and interest in music. When did that all come about?
It all started maybe about 5th grade. I started playing the trumpet, and that's where I wanted to kind of put all my energy in, was music and playing the trumpet. So I heard that the Buffalo Academy for Visual and Performing Arts had a very decent concert band. So I declared my major after, elementary school, that I would go to this high school audition and become a trumpet player in their concert band. And so I went there, declared instrumental major, and that was where my passion was, playing in this concert band. And all of a sudden I got interested in guitar, started playing the guitar, taking lessons privately outside of school as well as in school. And I just loved the guitar and these full chords that it had, as opposed to these single notes that a trumpet could make. And I just really fell in love with that instrument. And I always sang on the side, but I never took it seriously. I never took vocal coaching or anything. It's just kind of in the background. And it wasn't until Music in Action came to the Buffalo Academy for Visual and Performing Arts High School with this idea that they were going to teach kids about the music industry and songwriting and kind of the power that music has to contribute to society.
Yeah, some young people, I'm sure you would agree, have a natural passion and a burning desire to push no matter what, and others have to be validated. Someone says, hey, do you know that you've really got something here and you've got some talent? Were you the kind of kid that mom and dad said, okay, come on down, Grace, and sing something for us?
Yeah, there were many holidays that they would ask me to perform or sing a couple songs for the family, and I would flip out because I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want anyone to listen to me. I was the type of kid where my name is Grace, and on holidays when they would say Grace before, Thanksgiving, I would go under the table and cry because I felt like they were giving me attention.
Yes.
So this whole music thing was kind of like, eyes on you, you can sing, and it would kind of anger me. So on these holidays I would just run upstairs, slam my door, I'm not singing for you. So it wasn't until the program came along
that you got some comfort level with it?
That I became comfortable with who I was as a musician and the songs that I could write and being on stage. It took a while.
So you had the music, you had the passion, you had the desire. Next step seems to have that knowledge base of how do I turn my dream into something meaningful and what's available to make that happen. And it sounds like that's where Music in Action really adds a lot more to a person's dream.
Totally. As a songwriter and as a musician, I'll never forget our first assignment was to write our own song with a positive message. And I chose to write a song about changing the world. It's the first song I ever wrote, Change the World, and it was featured on this Music in Action CD.
That's because We Are the World was already done.
Yeah,
okay.
we had to change it at this point. And so each of the artists, each of the kids had to write their own song, and that was really nice because in high school, a lot of the times you read off sheet music, things that have been done for years. We played Bach, and so it was like, oh wow, we can write our own song with a positive message, and so we did this, and it was kind of life-changing, and knowing that we would record this at the bass player of the Goo Goo Dolls studio, GCR. It's such an amazing thing to do as a kid, and record and have it heard, have it be sold on iTunes, and have it be used to benefit a food bank or the Heart Coalition. And that's a chance that we weren't given until Music in Action came along.
Who would you say were your influencers in the music side first, and then we'll talk about the folks here locally who really believed in you?
I always listened to Sheryl Crow.
Okay.
my parents are huge Sheryl Crow fans. My sisters were real into hard rock, so I would listen to Pearl Jam, and at that time that was hard rock.
Right.
Pearl Jam and Bush and all these bands. And my father was like a die-hard blues lover, so he had Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eric Clapton, loved Bonnie Raitt. So I kind of got a mix of everything through my family.
A lot of guitar there.
A lot of guitar, and that's why I really decided one day I want to play this instrument. And so those are my influences, and I still feel like I draw from them today.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So on the music and action side, what do you feel a program like that really brings to someone who's got the talent, who has support from family, who has the passion, likes to do their own work? What does the music and action really bring to you to help shape it all?
I feel like the music and action program brings you the tools that you need, because prior to this program coming, we did play on a stage, but not by ourselves or kind of with a rock band. We were hiding behind music stands, and we sounded good while we played in a concert band, but you know, the music and action program gets you out there. It gives you that opportunity to sing your own song to your friends and family and to your schoolmates, because we would put on this CD release of the music and action CD.
Yeah.
And the CD release was amazing because we had lights and sound, and the auditorium was packed, and it was a whole new buzz, this whole new feeling that if Music in Action hadn't come along and given us this chance, you know, we would all be playing kind of in our bedrooms, or, you know, not being able to sing our own songs to this new audience.
Is it fair to say, Grace, that Music in Action helped teach you a whole new realm of music in order to perfect your craft and to shape your passion into something that would be viewed by others as a quality piece?
Yeah, because up until this point, until Music in Action would come along, I really loved playing in concert bands and jazz bands. And I was never asked to write my own song and to sing my own song and to use that song to change something or benefit society with your schoolmates. You know, it was
right.
In my high school, you were kind of not segregated, but classified by majors. So the band majors hung out with the band majors, or the art majors hung out with the art majors, or the communications hung out with the communications. But this program actually brought all of us together, because the musicians made the music, the artists made the art for the CD, and the communications majors made the posters and hung them up all over high school. So it was like you all came together to create this work, this CD, that could be shared and used for good in all of society. So it was great.
That's awesome. We're here today at GCR Studios, and we're talking with Grace Stumberg about music in action and where her career has gone. I'm Tom McNulty. And Grace, I guess one of the things too that a lot of folks might be interested in is, how do you turn that music into something that strikes a chord with people who will further believe in you and want to help you take it to the next level? Because as you said, a lot of kids, their interest and passion in music may start and end in their garage.
Yeah.
Garage bands and bedroom bands, and
Yeah.
you know, down the street at somebody else's basement.
Yeah.
But music in action helps shape that.
It all starts with knowing what you want. And if you have the dream to become a musician and it's in your heart, you will do whatever it takes. And that might mean someone telling you, "You're horrible." And you can listen to that and say, "Yes, I am." Or you can say, "Thank you very much. I will be back next week." And those are the kind of things that you're faced with even after the Music in Action program. After I graduated high school and I was no longer a student of this program, it was all up to me now. Am I going to keep writing? Am I going to come up with the funds to record the first CD? Am I going to stick it out when I play to nobody and people don't listen? You know, it's a real big test, and Music in Action gives you that foundation, but you have to make it grow, and you have to continue what you've learned and what you've been taught.
I think you'd agree too, Grace, that you go from believing in yourself, your family supports you, friends support you, and then you make that quantum leap with the support of Music in Action into sort of the business of music, who are some of the people here locally that you, I guess in essence, want to thank and say have really contributed to creating a stronger sense of your music?
I would definitely like to thank my parents, first and foremost. I get asked a lot, are your parents okay with you being a musician? Because, it's not going to help you pay back the student loans quick, And I go, no, they love it. And, my dad's always been a big advocate. And he would always sit down and tell me, you're putting up roadblocks for yourself. You're putting up roadblocks for yourself. Why are you doing this? And it was those talks that really kind of got me back up. So I'd like to thank my parents for that. And especially Bob James and Robbie Takak, who have developed this Music in Action program and made it come to our high school. And for Bob, even after this program ending, and to Robbie for continuing that support and letting us come into GCR and record this album, and constantly bringing new opportunities, letting us play at Music is Art, the Music is Art Festival. And Bob James will sometimes ask me to come in and do these Music in Action songwriting workshops now. So to Bob and Robbie, I'd like to thank them for continually giving opportunities.
And with Bob and Robbie come all the producers and the engineers and the marketing people that really help create a brand called Grace Stumberg. Tell me a little bit about what you would say to the graduating class of any school now, or that band club. What would you say to the kids based on your experience about how Music in Action can help, or when they're doubting themselves and not sure where to go? Or at the other extreme too, they have unrealistic expectations. What do you say?
I mean, I'm a real believer in if you really put time and energy into things, the right things, meaning you have to choose what's right and wrong, that those things will develop. And to any kid that's graduating from this Music in Action program and deciding to go to college, I can tell you the story of the day that I decided what college I was going to go to. I felt like the only way I was ever going to be able to afford a house and pay my bills and my student loans back one day was by going to Buff State and becoming a music teacher. And on that same day, I had my classes picked out and I knew where I was going to go. That same day, Anthony Casuccio from Villa Maria College came and gave this workshop on the music industry. The industry of music, meaning I wouldn't necessarily teach kids about this is a chord, and I would get to record my own song through this Pro Tools recording system, and I could learn how to do that if I went to Villa Maria College. I could take classes on songwriting and learn aspects of how to write songs, and I would still take music theory. And so on that day, I just kind of got a whirlwind and just decided no longer am I going to go to Buff State. I made a decision, and that's what I feel like is going to be hard for a lot of the graduating kids of the Music in Action program, making that decision. And as long as they can be happy with the decision that they've made, then they've made the right one.
But it sounds like Music in Action helps make an educated decision.
Of course.
A decision based on some experience, a lot of experience from people who know the music industry. I don't imagine you would say to somebody, grab your guitar and run to California on a whim. There's a whole education process, and there's the business side of music that is going to increase your chances of success.
Of course, yeah. Bob James has been playing music for a while now, and Robbie has seen so much, and for those two to give advice to a lot of the students, it's so important because they've lived that life, they've seen it, they've breathed it, and so it's not like we're just talking out of a book. A lot of this comes from experiences, and for students to be able to hear those and grasp those, I feel like that's really good for them to learn and be able to put it to work after that.
What are your thoughts on music being a very personal experience, and how today people use music to touch feelings and touch emotions and get out a message?
I feel that this is one thing that I've noticed. I always felt selfish when I would first write songs, that no one could understand them because it was from my point of view. But I realized as I get older that a lot of people go through the same things. And so for me to feel selfish over writing this one song will actually make sense to another person and to another person. Music is a big just wave of sharing feelings and emotions that we all have, and it's a way to cope and listen and agree and understand and learn.
Do you get that kind of feedback from your audience?
Definitely.
What do they say?